Hey everybody, it's Brian Lee with BT Lee Sauces and Rubs here, and also a contestant on the Great American Recipe Season 1. For Season 1, Episode 6, the 90-minute challenge is Melting Pot. This is where we celebrate America's rich culinary heritage and how we've pulled in recipes and influences from all over the world to forge a very unique cuisine. This recipe that I'm working on today is a West African style beef short rib inspired by my buddy Kalu and his family. They're Nigerians that now live in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I'm gonna get to it. So the first step in this recipe is to saute off your beef short ribs. Normally I use English cut beef short ribs, but today I could only find full cut beef short ribs. So these are gonna be a little bigger than that. What we've done is we've created a fond in the bottom of this pot, and we will be using this as the base for these short ribs. Prior to this, all I did was salt these short ribs and throw them in the refrigerator overnight. So to create the braising liquid for these West African style beef short ribs, we're going to add 1/4 cup white distilled vinegar, 1 tablespoon of granulated white sugar, 1 can of green chilies, that is 7 ounces, thereabouts. And now the fun part begins here. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of smoked salt, 1 tablespoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of bird's eye chili, 1 teaspoon of Scotch bonnet, teaspoon of granulated onion, granulated garlic, and sumac, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of mint. And at this point, it's gonna get a little smoky in here, or not smoky in here, it's gonna get a little fragrant in here. Don't breathe too deep. We're whisking this to combine. It's gonna turn into like a sludgy concoction. It's the base of all great sauces end up this way at first. Man, that ginger and the bird's eye chili combination together is spectacular. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna take these beef short ribs and we're gonna nestle them in here, roll them over a couple times, just to get them completely coated in this mixture, and set them aside. That's a big boy right there. Whoever's gonna get that one's gonna have a meal. We're gonna add this to the INSTAPOT, and then we will go from there. So we've got our INSTAPOT back set up. We've got the oil and the fond from the seared beef short ribs in the bottom of this pot. We're going to add this mixture to it. It's gonna start hissing. Right now this INSTAPOT is on saute. We'll be changing that momentarily. In there, we're gonna whisk this together to combine with the oil in the bottom of the pot. And then we're going to whisk in approximately a cup of chicken stock. What we're doing here is we're creating a braising liquid for these beef short ribs. Once this has come together like that, we're going to re-add the beef short ribs to this pot. I'm gonna set them, I'm gonna try and set them all in there. I might have to pull them onto their side. Got them all nice and nestled within that braising liquid. The braising liquid should only come up to about maybe half tall on it. We're going to change this now from saute to pressure cooker. We're gonna move it over to beef on medium. And it's gonna take about 35 minutes or so in order to get these to where I want it to be.
Away we go. See you in 30 minutes.
So I love to serve these beef short ribs with a sweet and sticky rice. It is loaded with peanuts and green onions and golden raisins, or whatever kind of raisins you can find. So this is how we do that. I take my peanuts into a hot pan. I'm just gonna let them toast for a minute while I gather all the other stuff together. We've got green onions, we've got our rice, our oil, and you wanna keep this moving a little bit. You can smell it automatically, like instantaneously, you get this peanut smell. And to this, we're going to add about a tablespoon of oil. You can hear those peanuts begin to pop in there. We're gonna add our green onions. It's about a half a cup of green onions. And our raisins. So I let this toast up for a hot second. You're gonna start to see some browning occur on the peanuts. And when that starts to happen, we add our rice. I have previously rinsed this rice until it runs dry. Get all that starch off. And we're just gonna let this rice toast up in this oil, peanuts, and onion mixture for a hot minute here before we add our chicken stock. Now I've got about a cup of rice and a bunch of bits and bobs here that are also gonna soak up water. So I'm gonna add more water or more chicken stock than I normally would to it. Normally I add 2.5 cups for every cup of rice, but I'm gonna add 3 cups of chicken stock to this. You can smell that fragrant rice. You just wanna hit it so the bottom doesn't stick. We are trying to build a little bit of color here. Oh, I almost forgot. Right in the recipe. So, if you've ever made risotto, the Italians love to do something called, I think it's called the first kiss, where they hit it with a white wine right before absorbing all the other stuff. So it's a liquid that gets absorbed immediately, right away. And we do that with some white wine vinegar, or white distilled vinegar in this. So it's gonna be about a quarter of a cup. It's gonna add that tang to that. Please do not burn yourself with all this steam. And then we add the chicken stock. Like I said, about 3 cups here. There's a rule of thumb that you can use with liquid and rice. If you put your finger in it and it goes up to your knuckle, then you got enough in there. I also like to add about a tablespoon of turmeric. And I'm gonna give this a great stir here to incorporate all that turmeric before we bring this to a boil and we cook it for 22 minutes or so. So our beef short ribs are done cooking. We've got a situation here where the beef has fallen off the bone, and that's perfectly fine. That means that this is going to be a tender short rib. So we're gonna remove these short ribs from the pot. And you know, if you got one that is still pulling out, still seeing the shiners there, that's fine. You just want to make sure that all the protein is removed from this pot before we get to the next step. Next step here is going to be to set this back to saute. So you want to keep it hot. We're gonna get that going, and then we are going to whisk in some peanut butter. We've got a 1/4 cup of peanut butter here. We're gonna throw this right in, and we're going to get this into a smooth, thick sauce with a whisk, and let it cook down. The sauce is going to darken pretty substantially as it cooks, and it will thicken up nicely as it reduces down. All of that beef flavor, all of that chicken stock is going to simulate this West African street food named suya. Spicy, gingery. So we're gonna let this cook for another, probably about 5 minutes or so, whisking occasionally. It will reduce down a little bit. You can see it start to bubble now. And we'll give it a taste right before we plate. So everything's come together. Our rice is finished. The beef short rib is fork tender, and our sauce has solidified up and become tight. And now I'm just gonna plate it up. So what we do is we take our beef short rib, we put it on a bed of rice, and I take the sauce and I just drizzle it over it. Now, just to give you a little bit of warning, this sauce is spicy, so you've been warned. The way I finish this is I take a little bit of peanuts and mint that I've crushed up together, and I throw it all over the top. I like to serve this dish with a little bit of skillet blistered tomatoes that I blister in olive oil with a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and then I douse those with mint too. So this is the plate that's completely together. Let's take a big bite out of this. We'll grab some rice, we'll grab a little bit of beef, and we'll go for it. A slight sweetness of the raisins in that rice really kicks off the beef flavor. On this, you get salty, peanut buttery, just really pops through. You get that ginger, but then that Scotch bonnet and then bird's eye chilies kicks in like a bass drum later. That is a fantastic bite. You need, I highly suggest using the tomatoes as a foil for the deep flavors and the robust richness of this dish. You need that acid to cut through. Man, what a bite. This is Brian Lee. Kicked off but still cooking. Cheers.